Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Well, today we're going to be taking a quick look at the G3 from Taurus. It's virtually the same size as a Glock 19, and it holds the same amount of rounds, but it's over $200 cheaper. So the question is, does the G3 have the features and reliability to make it as good an option for concealed carry as the Glock? Well, we're going to find out in just a minute. Alright, once again, welcome back. Thanks for being with us today. If this is your first time coming to the channel, or if you've been watching our videos and you just haven't had a chance to so far, and you like our content, please consider subscribing. You can locate that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner of your computer screen there, or if you're on a mobile device, you can just scroll down below the video and you can hit the subscribe button that way. It's a simple thing that helps out a whole lot, and we really appreciate it. So, today it's the Taurus G3. This is another pistol that, it's been out for a few years now, and I was able to get my hands on this right when it came out. Of course, the reality of reviewing guns is that a lot of the guns you shoot, you may see them several times and kind of watch how they evolve. And this has been out long enough to where I can tell you a whole lot more about the quality than I would have when it first came out. So that's going to be a bonus. But, you know, people I talk to have different opinions about Taurus. Some people say, well, you know, there's a reason why that gun is almost half the price. I wouldn't carry a Taurus. Well, to be quite honest with you, in recent past, the only real thing I've ever even heard of that I recall that Taurus had a problem was, of course, the PT series, all those Millennium 111, 132. I think there was 9 of them. Yeah, so they stopped making a lot of guns that they had problems with all in one series. But with a lot of what I've seen here over the last few years, they seem to be a lot more consistent. So, we'll see how that plays out. Anyway, as usual, we like to start off with a little old size comparison. And as I said, this is, you know, virtually the same size as a Glock. And the reason I say that is because, literally, they're the exact same length. You know, both of these firearms, overall length, is 7.28 inches. Now, if you look at them, of course, there's going to be some slight differences, but if you look at little things like the trigger guard, you can see that, you know, they're so similar in the way these are done and the sizes. And then, of course, the only place where things really start to look different is when you get down here, you know, into the grip. Of course, your rail's slightly different, but just looking at the overall size, they're very similar size pistols, very close. The Glock, if you look at it, is actually just slightly lighter, like maybe an ounce or so lighter than this pistol, not much. And the width of the G3 is actually slightly less than the Glock. So you can see they're very similar. You saw the length, you can see the width, you can see, looking at them down from the sight down to the bottom of the grip, just very similar sizes. Now, of course, the reason we do this, you know, many of you, as popular as the Glock 19 is, there's a good chance that you've had your hands on one of these, maybe not the G3. As close as they are, as far as size, their weight, the G3 is 24.83 ounces unloaded. Well, the Glock is 23.63, so once again, you got about an ounce of weight separating them. So as close as they are, if you've had your hands on a Glock 19 and you're considering the weight and how this is going to feel in the holster, they're so close that if you've been able to carry one comfortably, I imagine you can probably carry the G3 the same way. Alright, we're going to jump around to the features here, but before we do, we want to take just a moment to thank our friends over at Don's Weaponry for providing us this beautiful example of the Taurus G3 for our tabletop review today. Don's Weaponry is a huge supporter of firearm safety and education, and we can't thank them enough. So, we're going to do this the way we normally do, kind of in a top-down fashion, but as per usual, let's do a quick safety check, get the magazine out, and let you see that the chamber is empty and we are all clear and ready to go here. So first thing you'll notice, you have a basic white dot fixed front sight and a typical notch rear sight here. Of course, it's drift adjustable. You can tap it in left or right to get it where you want it. You've got your slide, which is a alloy steel slide. Has a matte black finish here. This finish seems to wear pretty good. They've used the same finish on some of the other G-Series models, and it seems to be doing pretty good. The barrel is actually stainless steel, and it has a matte stainless finish on it. Okay, your frame, of course, is polymer. Now, if you look on their website, there's a whole bunch of different color combinations you can get for these that are pretty slick. This happens to be the gray frame with the black slide, which we think looks pretty good. You'll notice you've got your Picatinny rail on the front here, so if you want to have a lighter laser system on the front of this firearm, or in many cases, this could be some departments may use these for duty weapons. It's about the same size as a Glock 19, so you never know. But that gives you that capability. Right here you can see this is your slide lock and release. It is only on the left hand side. And you got your safety. Of course, you just push that up to put the safety on, bring it back down, and you can see the red dot indicating it is ready to fire. You do have your takedown procedure here, which is like if you've seen the Glocks, you can see very similar. You have the notches right here on both sides that you pull down. Well, this is the same thing. You bring your slide back just a little bit and bring those notches down. You go forward, and then you can push the entire slide right off just like that. And then, of course, once you have the whole thing off, you just tip out your spring and your rod, and then you can tip out your barrel. You can do all the cleaning, and then, of course, just slide it right back on the reverse of what you had it there. And just like that, you're ready to go. So it's a pretty quick and easy takedown method. If you're going to go beyond that, of course, make sure either you're a gunsmith or you take it to one. That way you don't mess up anything on the inside that you can't put back. The trigger, they call this a single action with restrike, and basically what that means is you can keep right on pulling the trigger. So if the round doesn't go off, you can try again, of course, before you do your tap rack and clear. Your magazine release is right here below this groove, and it's in a pretty good place. Even with a two-handed grip, my thumbs are together. My thumbs both tend to kind of sit right here at that groove, and there's not enough pressure on this release to me to ever feel like I'm on top of it, but yet it's close enough for me to come right there and just shoot the mag right out. So that feels pretty nice. Coming down through here, you've got these different pads with the texturing on them. This feels pretty good. I mean, you got pretty, it's not overdone. You know, it's not so much that it's painful, but you can really feel the texturing on there. Also wanted to mention, of course, this is a 15 plus 1 capacity firearm. They do give you 2 magazines with this, and you know, they're nice mags here. They're good quality. And I always like it when they give you extra magazines because, of course, those cost money. So that's a good value right there. So as far as the way the firearm looks and feels, you know, got a pretty good basic set of features. The ergonomics feel nice. So for 200 and, you know, I think on average about 220 less than a Glock 19, you get a pretty nice set of features and a pretty decent looking handgun that seems to have pretty good quality from the factory. Well, I mentioned in the beginning that I've had plenty of time to shoot the G3. When it first came out, I was able to get a lot of time with it. Then some time passed, a year or so, and then of course when you meet up at the range you get to shoot different things, and so a year or so back I got to shoot it a whole bunch again. And then of course recently, before even picking up this one for a range review, well, I can tell you this much. The very first time I picked up the G3, of course, I'm always a little skeptical when I pick up any gun that either I haven't shot a lot or it's a lower priced gun, just because, you know, people they talk about quality, and you think, oh, well, everybody says it's a cheap handgun. Well, I'm also into finding out for myself whether something is cheap. And the Taurus performed very well every time I've had the chance to get my hands on it. And it's performed well when I've seen other people shoot the firearm too. Now, this one, has been fed all kinds of everything you can imagine. As far as range ammo, the Blazer Brass, the PMC, the S&B, it had no trouble with any of this. And of course, in the beginning, to me, if a handgun's going to give me a problem, it's usually going to happen when I give it a hollow point. And because I've had brand new handguns that you just practically have to force that hollow point round up that ramp to get this thing to go into battery. But I have to give the Taurus G3 credit. The 115, the 124, and even shooting some of the Hornady here, this 135 Flex Lock, I didn't have any problems with any of this. The most accurate round, once again, and I have no idea if I'm going to find something that works better for me, but I seem to shoot the 115 grain SIG V-Crown better than a lot of these other defensive rounds, and the G3 was no exception. It was just the most accurate overall of everything that was shot. I was mentioning the way these pads feel, this grip pattern they've got on these different pads, and I have to say, a lot of times I get concerned about how that's going to feel after you do a lot of shooting, and this did not bother me. A lot of times I'll feel like your hand is almost getting kind of stung up and rashy after a while from too much grip. I think this is right in the middle. I think they've done a really, really good job as far as how this feels. So you can put a lot of rounds through it, and I haven't seen any problems or failures. It's not picky with ammo. And as I said, right out of the box, it shoots it very well. Now, they call this a 6-pound trigger, and that's about what I got with my little scale. Somebody else had a scale, and I think they came up just underneath that. But so I'd say they're right on. They call it a 6-pound trigger. Glocks have got a trigger that's 5 and change. So the triggers are very similar. I think that the way this trigger feels is actually not bad at all. When you look at it, it has kind of a steady pull all the way through, and then a good crisp break. The reset is actually pretty short. It's not bad. You compare that to your typical Glock 19. The resets are very, very close on those two handguns. And so I think they've done a pretty good job with this whole design. It's got a pretty good trigger. It's very consistent. It has a good break. And I was shooting just as good of groups with the G3 as I was the Glock 19. And I can reproduce those results anytime I pick it up. The other thing I like, of course, too, and I was kind of talking about during the feature section, but, as far as the size, those trigger guards are very similar. Gives me plenty of room to get my finger in there, and it helps with consistent shooting. So pretty good design. It's not picky with ammo, and it's just as accurate as the more expensive handgun. What more could you like? So what's it like to carry the Taurus G3 as a concealed carry handgun? Well, if you've ever carried a Glock 19 or a Glock 23 or something in that same category, an M&P, or there's lots of guns that are about the same size as the Glock 19. That's pretty much how it's going to feel to carry the G3. And like I said, the size and the weight between these two firearms, as I've said before, it's so ridiculously close that, it's laughable, the tiny differences between these two guns. I carry a lot of Glocks. This is the size gun where I kind of get away from any type of a single loop holster, and I want to go with something that has 2 clips on it. I have a lot of these crossbreed holsters that have 2 clips. It's got one on each side. You've got the horse hide, and it protects your body against the parts of the gun that are really going to make you sore. And you got a good Kydex feel. It kind of locks in there a little bit, so you've got some retention. Now there's lots of other people who make these, lots of other brands, and you can go through the list and, whoever your favorite is, I mean, have a look at it. All I'm saying is if you're going to carry a gun like this, for me, it's going to be something that has a couple of clips on it like that to distribute the weight a little bit better. I wouldn't carry this. To me, I don't carry appendix or anything. I don't like it. I can do it, but to me, I just don't like the idea of having my gun there. I like it about 3 o'clock. And so having it, the weight spread out between the two clips on a wider holster like that, I like it quite a bit. And there's lots of good options. I've had some Alien, gear holsters and several others, Versa Carry. There's all kinds of stuff I've tried that's been really good. So there's a lot of holster options available for this gun, and I think that if you are used to carrying a compact firearm, like I say, Glock 19, weight's virtually the same. I don't even know how you would know the difference because I couldn't tell at all. So very easy to carry. So if we're going to talk about the overall impressions of the G3, I think this one's a pretty easy one. As I said in the beginning, I've had people that have come to me and telling me these horror stories about quality with Taurus. And I don't know where they're getting that from other than, like I said, I think the PT series of Millennium pistols, that was very widely known. And of course, Taurus responded to that. They stopped selling every single one of them. They pulled that product. They went back to the drawing board and did some other things. Every car manufacturer has put out lemons and done recalls. That doesn't mean that they haven't made any good cars either. And I think Taurus, they took their lumps on the PTs, and I think they've done really well with these G-Series pistols. And I think as they keep going forward with them, they're getting better and better. Looking at this, you're talking about a pistol that, as far as I can tell, it doesn't shoot all that different than a Glock. It's just as accurate as a Glock. It's been just as reliable as far as what ammo it'll take. And like I say, it doesn't have, anything extra frills, just like a Glock, simple sight. Glocks come the same way. So if you're looking for something that has the capacity, and once again, it's just like a Glock. It's not like a Glock 19. This is a 15+1 capacity setup. If you're looking for something that's compact with good capacity, it's got everything you're looking for, but you just don't want to get into that, $550 to $600 range. There's no reason not to take a look at this. For $220 to $250 less. And of course, on the used market, you can maybe take another $100 or so off that. There's nothing I've seen in the Taurus that would give me any reason to say that it's not just as good of a choice. And like I say, people will argue differences because, Glock has better overall quality and they've been around and blah, blah, blah. People have got their different opinions, and that's fine, and a lot of those opinions are valid. I'm just saying that if you examine this pistol on its own, the G-Series Taurus pistols have done really well, and the G3 seems to be just as reliable. No problem so far as when I'm shooting a Glock. So I don't have anything that says that one's better than the other. So if price is an issue for you, there's no reason why you can't take a look at the G3 because it does everything the Glock 19 will do, but it does it for, quite a bit less. Well, I guess that's going to cover it for today. And once again, as always, we really appreciate you being with us. We're going to be back very soon with another video for you. So until that time, as always, everybody stay safe and have a great day. Thank you.